When I first picked up the box of Mount&Blade, I didn't know what to expect. To me it looked like a low-budget game with features too good to be true. I was debating on the way home from the store whether or not the game is a real-time strategy or a normal controlled RPG, similar to Oblivion for example. When I finally entered the game, I was greeted with a screen asking me to fill in my details of my character's history, ranging from my father's occupation to how I spent my years growing up as a child, and what led me to venture from my home. Before I knew it, I had entered a game that has currently sucked 500 or maybe even 1,000 hours of my life in the past year alone. Not too long after, I bought the expansion for the game, Mount&Blade Warband. Both these games I have absolutely enjoyed ever since. Whilst the game is progressively becoming popular, I still feel the game is somewhat obscure, so I hope to get aid in having people buy this game with this review. To answer my thoughts on the game, this is a combination of a real-time strategy and a normal controlled RPG. To travel the lands of Caladria, you must navigate yourself through a large map, similar to the way you would in a real-time strategy. You click to make your character to walk or run or ride to a location. Also on the map are several characters that represent armies of lords, travelers or bandits. When you enter a town, village or battle, you regain full control of your character like you would in a normal role-playing game. You may be wondering what this game is about. Well, there is no story. It's a role-playing sandbox game, and you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can go to villages and do quests. You can rise to fame through arena tournaments. You can save travelers from bandits, or as you progress through the game, you may earn the lucky privileges of becoming a vassal of one of the 6 factions of Caladria. The way you play is up to you. No matter what you do, there are no storylines. They sort of build up yourself as you play. One thing that can boost the role-playing experience is writing a journal. I know that sounds corny, but it can help make the game extra immersive. So just get a piece of paper and write down everything you did in each in-game day. It can help your story come to life. Also, when you're reading dialogue, act it out. Just read it out or say it in your head in a voice as a character. Like I mentioned above, it can really boost the role-playing experience. The game is fairly simple at first. You'll find yourself going from village to town doing the odd quest or arena tournament, pretty much whatever you want. But no matter what, you will eventually find yourself becoming a vassal in the never-ending wars. Once you become a vassal, the game will change drastically. You'll instead find yourself raising armies to aid to fight for your kingdom. You'll be doing tasks such as fighting large epic battles against enemy vassals, or starting sieges against entire castles and towns. These wars can last you real-life months of game time. You can even give yourself an emotional attachment towards your own faction, and give you real hate towards the enemy factions. The gameplay itself is good and very addictive. I wouldn't hesitate to give the game Sword Fighting an award for the most realistic sword fighting game. Unlike many other games, armor counts. It isn't just the extra armor stats and numbers that can drastically change your results in combat, but even the material can matter. Go into battle wearing chainmail armor as opposed to full plate armor, and you're going to have a bit of trouble. When you strike an opponent with a sword, you can feel it digging into their flesh. Hit an opponent wearing full plate armor and you can feel it clanging off their metal as if it's done nothing at all. You are also required to block. If you don't block, you are also going to have a very hard time in combat. This can lead to proper and full-on sword duels, something that is rarely seen in RPG and sword fighting games these days. The control direction for your sword is done with the mouse button. Move the mouse around and that can determine where your sword hits. Same goes for blocking. This adds some extra challenge to sword combat, although you can feel free to change it in the options menu to automatically detect where your sword's going to hit. The game is quite difficult. Raising an army, especially a strong army, can cost a lot of money. You also must pay for your soldiers' wages each week, not to mention keep their morale up. This means you will spend a lot of time trying to earn enough funds to even have an army. If you lose a battle, you will be captured, and you will lose a lot of money and sometimes even items. If you're extremely unlucky, you can even lose your most valuable items, including armor. Good armor isn't that easy to obtain. You just don't find it lying around. You have to pay lots of money for it. You also may remember me mentioning how wars can be endless. I've seen wars that have been in stalemates for over months of playing the game. If you take a town, change it in the options menu to automatically detect where your sword's going to hit. The game is quite difficult. Raising an army, especially a strong army, can cost a lot of money. You also must pay for your soldiers' wages each week, not to mention keep their morale up. This means you will spend a lot of time trying to earn enough funds to even have an army. If you lose a battle, you will be captured, and you will lose a lot of money and sometimes even items. If If you're extremely unlucky, you can even lose your most valuable items, including armor. Good armor isn't that easy to obtain. You just don't find it lying around. You have to pay lots of money for it. You also may remember me mentioning how wars can be endless. I've seen wars that have been in stalemates for over months of playing the game. If you take a town, they may come back and retake the town later. You can sometimes spend hours raising money to build a good enough army to take over a large enemy town, only to have it taken away in less than hours of taking it over. If you are captured, you'll lose your entire army. This is the most frustrating thing that can even happen in a game. One time it led me to so much frustration that I kept going back alone to fight the enemy vassal until I killed every single soldier in his army. I lost 30,000 gold from each time I was captured, but it was somewhat worth it to see him beg for his life. Shame I couldn't kill him, but only capture him. If you grow tired of fighting endless wars with these factions, you may choose to start your own faction. Whilst having your own faction is technically the same as being in another faction, it is still another whole entirely new experience in itself. Unfortunately, as soon as I started a new faction, my faction was pretty much destroyed, because the original owners of the castle I took over wanted it back. So I don't have much to say about my experience as king, but what I will say is throughout the game you can find special companions in taverns. They are yours to customize and level up. There are many abilities which you may personally need, but you just don't have enough experience to focus on. Abilities such as trading or being a doctor are abilities that you may not want to focus on yourself. You can assign these abilities to your companions instead. One companion to help build the siege weapons, another companion who specializes in training your troops, and another companion to be your doctor. As a king, you can give your companions the duty of being vassals for your own faction. They can help you throughout your journey as king. Mount&Blade has many unique and interesting experiences to offer, but I don't have time to name them all. I can't spend the rest of this review praising everything about this game, so I need to move on to the criticism. You may remember me mentioning that this was a low-budget game. Well, that in fact is very true. This presents itself throughout the game itself many times. Many things such as bad AI outside of combat, and a few bugs and glitches every now and again. The graphics themselves aren't very special as well. Although whilst the graphics and faces are not that good, I can easily look past them. This game isn't supposed to be a photorealistic game, nor does that really bother me at all. Whilst I've described this game to be a massive journey full of hours of content, it's really just the same game most of the time. There are not many quests in the game. Most of the quests are doing the same quests that you've already done before. The best quests you can get are from lords and vassals, but about a majority of the time, the quests that the lords give you are to train their own troops. These quests are annoying as hell, as you require them to train to the full ranks, but it never really helps in the war much at all, and like I mentioned above, these are the only quests they seem to give you. Villagers always ask for more cattle, but getting cattle is very annoying and very expensive. And most worst of all, as you become more famous and important, lords will begin to think that you're too important to have quests. So when you go to ask a lord for a quest, they say, "No, you're too important. I don't think I should bother you with this." This is annoying because if I ask for a quest, I want to do a quest, I don't really care if I'm important, I just want to do a quest. This can actually be quite annoying because sometimes there are quests for lords that can actually help you and benefit you quite a bit and earn you quite a bit of experience and money. When you're not getting quests, you can't really progress. Other than that, there are plenty of small things that could make the game so much better. Whilst yes, there are plenty of mods that can fix that. Mods are no excuse for a vanilla game's flaws. There are many things such as the ability to join an army rather than commanding an army that would be really good to be implemented in the game. I would like to see that in future installments of Mount&Blade if they do make them. Although one thing I will add on the subject of mods is the Mount&Blade community has some fantastic mods up for offer. Mods can be counted as whole expansion packs to the vanilla game. One fantastic mod is Bridenwalder. You should search that up. Also the Florist mod pack. That is a very good mod. I had a hard time determining what I should score this game, but in conclusion, Mount&Blade has flaws here and there. But it's only a $20 game, and it can offer you hours of gameplay. I give this game a solid 9 out of 10. This is my first review, and because I don't like having to be biased or add points that probably shouldn't affect the overall score of the game, I've decided to add another positive and negative system that determines the other side of the score. Now this won't affect the overall score, but these are things that may affect you as a person or other people, or just things such as mods that help improve the game. So here's the other things that could count or make the game better or make the game worse. try and remember, these don't affect the overall score. So if you disagree with it, that's fine. Just remember, it doesn't affect the score.